The 1980s were a golden era for rock music. Big hair, loud guitars, and rebellious anthems. But with rebellion came controversy, and some songs were so bold or politically charged that they ended up being banned from radio stations or even entire countries. Today, we're diving into some of the most controversial banned rock songs of the 80s. Stay tuned, because the last song will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about rock music. 10. Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen. Let's kick things off with a track that's been misunderstood for decades. Initially, conservative radio stations latched onto its powerful beat and assumed it was a patriotic anthem, playing it across the entire country. But those who took the time to listen closely heard something different. The truth was, Springsteen was using his powerful voice to critique the government's treatment of Vietnam War veterans. It was a punch to the gut for a country still wrestling with the aftermath of the war. For many working-class Americans, it felt like a wake-up call and a raw reflection of their own struggles. The backlash from conservative factions only amplified its rebellious message. It wasn't just a rock song, it was a battle cry for those who felt forgotten by their own country. Springsteen captured that essence of defiance, of rock music as a force of social change, and it became one of the most iconic songs of the 80s, still as relevant today as it was back then. I Want to Break Free by Queen. When Freddie Mercury donned a dress in the famous music video, the world gasped. It wasn't just rock and roll, it was a statement. For Queen, this was more than a song. It was a declaration of independence, an embrace of individual freedom. It became a cultural milestone for the LGBTQ+ community, even though it faced intense backlash, particularly in America. By the mid-80s, rock was no longer just about rebellion against the establishment. It was about being yourself in an often judgmental world. Freddie Mercury's boldness was shocking to some, but for many, it was an empowering moment that echoed a message still alive today: be who you are. Years later, it's clear that this video became much more than just a quirky music video. It's a symbol of self-expression and breaking free from societal constraints. For those who watched Queen rise to global prominence, it was a reminder that rock music didn't just challenge the status quo, it redefined it. 8. We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister. One of the most unforgettable anthems of the 1980s, which became the rallying cry of a generation yearning to break free from societal constraints. But let's be honest, this song wasn't just a rallying cry for the teenagers who lived through the 80s. It was a slap in the face to anyone who told them how to live. Dee Snider's fearless message of defiance resonated with anyone who felt frustrated with the establishment. What made it even more powerful was its ability to merge heavy metal and punk's anti-authority stance with glam rock's over-the-top theatrics. For every kid who felt like they didn't fit in, We're Not Gonna Take It was a badge of honor. And for every parent, school teacher, and conservative radio host who hated the rebellious youth, it was a symbol of everything they couldn't control. Rock music in all its forms had become the voice of youth defiance, and it wasn't backing down. 7. Darling Nikki by Prince.
A girl named Nikki, I guess you could say she was a sex fiend.
He was no stranger to controversy, and Darling Nikki pushed the boundaries of rock and pop music with its raw, explicit lyrics. The song's unapologetic sexuality caught the attention of Tipper Gore, who was so shocked upon hearing it that she launched a crusade against explicit music. Outraged, she co-founded the Parents Music Resource Center, PMRC, an organization dedicated to advocating for parental control over music content. The uproar surrounding Darling Nikki became a defining moment in the debate over artistic freedom versus censorship. It was one of the key tracks cited in congressional hearings that led to the creation of the Parental Advisory Warning label, a black and white sticker that would soon become synonymous with forbidden music. Instead of deterring listeners, the label made albums even more enticing to rebellious fans eager to hear what the fuss was about. Far from stifling his creativity, the controversy only boosted Prince's commercial success. He thrived on pushing societal boundaries, proving that censorship often amplifies a song's allure rather than diminishing it. In the end, Darling Nikki didn't just scandalize. It reshaped the music industry, solidifying Prince's reputation as one of the most fearless and provocative artists of his time. 6. Hot for Teacher by Van Halen. Van Halen's Hot for Teacher wasn't just a catchy rock anthem. It was a full-on controversy bomb when it was released in 1984. With its high-energy riffs, playful lyrics, and fast-paced tempo, the song quickly became a fan favorite. but it also sparked a massive cultural conversation about the boundaries of sexuality and rock and roll. The song's lyrics, about a young man's infatuation with his high school teacher, may seem like an innocent tale of adolescent crushes, but the underlying themes pushed the envelope of what was acceptable in mainstream rock. The music video, featuring scantily clad women and playful references to sexual fantasies, only added fuel to the fire. Critics claimed the song was inappropriate, while others hailed it as a quintessential piece of rock decadence, emblematic of the 80s party scene. But the real controversy came when critics accused the band of perpetuating problematic power dynamics, especially in light of the teacher-student relationship the song depicted. While many fans embraced the song's playful, rebellious spirit, the backlash from conservative audiences was immediate. Some radio stations even banned it, while others debated whether the song was promoting a dangerous and irresponsible message. 5. Relax by Frankie Goes to Hollywood. This synth-driven pop song became notorious not for its sound, but for its sexually charged lyrics. Upon release, its explicit content quickly caught the attention of the BBC, which banned it from both radio and television. The ban only served to heighten the public's curiosity, turning the track into a cultural phenomenon. The more the song was censored, the more it captivated listeners, and it quickly gained traction, topping the UK charts for 5 consecutive weeks. The BBC's decision to ban the song inadvertently amplified its popularity, proving that censorship could backfire and make a track even more desirable. Relax became a defining moment in 1980s pop culture, as its bold lyrics and infectious melody resonated with a generation increasingly challenging societal norms. The controversy surrounding the song solidified its place as one of the most iconic, rebellious tracks of the era, showing how scandal can sometimes fuel a song's success. 4. Too Drunk to Fuck by Dead Kennedys. Now let's take a hard left turn into the punk world. The Dead Kennedys' Too Drunk to Fuck was one of the most controversial songs to ever come out of the punk scene. With its rapid-fire riffs and chaotic energy, this song wasn't just a critique of society, it was a raw, in-your-face assault on everything about polite culture. Critics hated it, parents feared it, and radio stations banned it, but the kids? They couldn't get enough. For the punk crowd, it wasn't just about the shock factor, it was about rejecting the mainstream. It was about taking the things society deemed taboo and turning them into an art form. Even today, songs like this remind us how punk gave a voice to those who felt sidelined by the world's expectations. 3. Suicide Solution by Ozzy Osbourne. This track sparked one of the most intense controversies of the 1980s, though its message was frequently misunderstood. Intended as a warning about the dangers of alcohol addiction, it was instead interpreted by some as promoting suicide. This misinterpretation led to a wave of criticism, with accusations that it glorified self-harm. The controversy reached its peak when 2 teenagers in Nevada attempted suicide, and their families blamed the song for influencing their actions. A court case followed, but no evidence was found to support claims that it contained subliminal messages promoting suicide. Osbourne defended the song, explaining that it was meant as a cautionary tale about substance abuse. Despite the legal battle, Suicide Solution became an enduring track in his catalog, remembered for its heavy riff and dark lyrics. The controversy only heightened its significance, cementing Osbourne's place as one of rock's most polarizing and misunderstood figures. 2. Better by You, Better Than Me by Judas Priest. This cover became infamous in the 1980s due to its association with a tragic event. In 1985, 2 teenagers in Nevada attempted suicide, and their families blamed the song, claiming it contained subliminal messages that influenced their actions. The case went to court, with the prosecution arguing that its lyrics, coupled with alleged hidden commands, encouraged the boys to harm themselves. By 1990, the band was forced to defend their work in a legal battle that sparked debates about artistic responsibility and the power of music. While no concrete evidence of subliminal messaging was ever found, and the case was ultimately dismissed, the controversy cast a shadow over Judas Priest's reputation. The incident highlighted the tension between creative expression and public perception, cementing Better by You, Better Than Me as one of rock's most controversial tracks. 1. God Save the Queen by the Sex Pistols. It wasn't just a regular rock song, it was a declaration of war against the establishment. The track, with its raw energy and brash attitude, immediately sparked outrage across the UK and beyond. Its anti-monarchy sentiment, encapsulated in the line, God Save the Queen, the fascist regime, was not just criticism, it was a full-on attack against the very foundations of British society. The timing of the release during Queen Elizabeth II's Silver Jubilee only amplified its defiance, making it an immediate flashpoint for national debate. The controversy surrounding the song wasn't just about its lyrics, it was about its audacity to challenge deeply entrenched institutions like the monarchy and the government. The Sex Pistols, led by Johnny Rotten, embodied the very spirit of punk: anti-authoritarian, rebellious, and unapologetic. The public and media backlash was intense. The BBC banned the song, record stores pulled it from shelves, and the government condemned it. But this only fueled its power. The controversy surrounding God Save the Queen made it even more influential, cementing it as one of the most iconic and divisive rock songs of the 80s. For many, the song was more than just music. It was a rallying cry for youth disillusioned with the status quo, for a generation that felt abandoned by the ruling classes. God Save the Queen didn't just challenge authority, it tore it down and dared anyone to stand in its way. It was the perfect anthem for the rebellious, working-class youth who had been pushed aside by the system and wanted their voices to be heard. The song's raw aggression and rebellious spirit made it not just controversial, but revolutionary.